Well, hey there, everybody. Welcome back to Joe Wednesdays. This is JHaubz, and quite a bit of news to talk about today. First, a lot of the news comes from the Lydia front because today is actually her birthday, coincidentally. So, happy birthday, honey. Um, but my wife, as we were talking about how much content I would have about Lydia for Joe Wednesday, she said, "Yeah, the cult of Lydia will be very happy to hear all this." And I'm like, I didn't know there was a cult of Lydia. So if there's anybody who's been watching these for exclusively Lydia content, you are thusly now part of the cult of Lydia. So welcome to the group. And here's some news for you. So let's see. Let's start off with the zoo. Yeah, where are we going?
We're going at the zoo.
Yeah, we're going to the zoo. And do you look cool at the zoo? We went to the Cincinnati Zoo this over the weekend, and she had a really good time. She kept talking about wanting to see the crocodiles, and I don't know why she has this pink crocodile in her mind that she keeps talking about. But she wanted to see the crocodiles for sure. And then we basically once we went to the reptile little exhibit first, and we saw one. I think it was an alligator, but don't tell her that until she's older. Um, but after that, we basically just kind of walked around whatever direction to see what else was around, and she had a really good time. She did really good around the crowd, which is what I was kind of worried about, is how well she was going to do with everybody kind of walking around and doing their own thing. She did really well with like listening to us and keeping with us and that kind of thing, but also was really excited to see all the different animals that she got to see. Um, we saw night, like they have this little like night hunter exhibit where they have basically any predators that typically go out at nighttime. They had a bunch of those: owls, snow leopards. I didn't know like armadillos would be. I don't know. Maybe that's just because they come out at night, not necessarily that they hunt at night. But yeah, a lot of different like night dwelling animals were in there, which was pretty neat. We saw elephants and giraffes. She really liked the penguins that were around the kid play area. There was this I'll probably show a video as I'm talking about this. Um, but there was this like lady that was next to her and Ashley when they were looking at the penguins, and the penguins were like following her finger. And Lydia gave a really good giggle. She liked that a lot. Um, but yeah, no. So we had a really good time. She did really good, and we stayed there from about when it opened till about her nap time. So it was a good chunk of time out in the heat too. So overall, she did really good. I've been feeling a lot better about her getting out and seeing people and interacting and being more social and that kind of stuff, because that's kind of been a worry in the back of my mind for a long time. Because of the pandemic and how isolated we had to be safe. um, I was worried on how that would kind of affect her social development, because she was really only seeing mom and dad, and then maybe the kids at daycare, and that was it. So but like in the with the grandparent visit we did the previous weekend, and then like going to the zoo and being out in like real public space, that kind of stuff. Um, I think those worries can subside now. So I think she's doing really good. She is also like starting to have like full blown conversations. It's been amazing, like to just kind of sit back and watch all this stuff unfold. Um, I got like a whole minute video that I probably can't share on here because she's only in her underwear, and we aren't too comfortable putting all a naked baby on the internet. Because the internet's weird. But she had like this full like blown conversation with mom the other night of like she was combing her hair and talking, like they were talking about like bugs getting inside, and she's like, "Oh, mama, you don't have to worry." And she like walked over to her window and pulled the drape back, and she was like, "The insects are outside, you don't have to worry." And then she like walked back over and like combing the back of her hair, and she's like, "Oh, mommy, you have these things in your hair," and like was taking out her hair ties and all that kind of stuff. It's an adorable minute. How we doing? um Okay, we'll pick up after we left off. Sorry about that. The coworker thought the room wasn't in use, but he needed to make a phone call on the other one. Oh, well, where was I? But yeah, no, Lydia is having some really adorable conversations, and it's just kind of a real joy to be talking with her, and I'm excited to hear what kind of things that she thinks about and that kind of stuff. Um, And the other bit of news is just I was going through my phone the other day, having to clean out a lot of the photos that I took of her. There were a couple thousand photos of this girl on my phone, and it's like that's so crazy to me. Um, but like I think in a practical standpoint, there's no way in hell that I need all of these photos of Lydia. I just don't. But we also upload them onto Amazon Photos, which has unlimited storage for photos with a Prime account. And it's fun. They give like a day review. Like they'll like on any specific day, it'll give you like pictures that you took like a year ago or 2 years ago or however long ago. And I find that to be a lot of fun because it's really kind of fun to compare, like, hey, here's Lydia when she was 1 and 2, and now we'll start adding that now that she's 3. I think that's where having all those photos is useful because like it brings all of those up for just that day, like a year ago or something like that. And um, that's where it gets a lot of fun to progress because like you look back 2 years and I'm like, oh my god, she had no hair. What was she like? And stuff like that. It's just really cute to see. So yeah, so I really enjoy that kind of stuff. So that's probably the only reason I will keep the amount of photos that I have of her, but I definitely do not need don't need them all for practical uses outside of that. So let's see. On other news that isn't Lydia related, so I got some food on Friday, and I just decided that I didn't want to like sit inside anywhere, so I decided to just go to one of the parks out in Centerville. And this particular park has an amphitheater in it, and just by coincidence, when I was there eating my dinner, like there was this like musical group setting up the stage, and they were gonna perform. And um, so I decided, it's like, well, I'm not doing anything else. Why not hang around and watch what the heck they're doing? So I thought that was kind of cool. It was kind of funny circumstances that I was there. Just happened to be there the day that they were putting on a free live play, which was fun. Unfortunately, I didn't really get to stay because like the second I actually sat down while they were performing, the bugs were all like, "Hey, Joe's here. Let's get a snack." Uh, like in the span of like maybe 2 minutes, my arm got like eaten. It's like, all right, for crying out loud, all right, I'll leave, because I wasn't really prepared to be outside because I didn't have like bug spray or anything like that. So, but yeah, it was just kind of funny circumstances to run into. Um, and then for the nerds in the audience, I want to talk a little bit about the new Hyrule Warrior that I had said I purchased a while ago. I finally got to play it and complete it, and I want to talk a little bit about what I thought of it. But before that, I need to share this little side note. Um, my coworker said that I reminded him of Link. And I was like, well, why in the world do I remind you of Link? And he said, well, because like anytime you like stand up or go to move or something like that, you have some sort of like you make some sort of sound effect. And I'm just like, oh god, because he's not wrong. like I don't know. It's just that I don't. It's just something that I naturally do. I don't even think about it, but like Link is infamously silent in all of the games that he's in, except for the fact like he makes sound effects when he like moves or swings his sword and stuff like that. And it's like, oh god damn it. um, but anyway, so onto Hyrule Warrior. It was very good, and I enjoyed it. Um, but I think I enjoyed the one on the Wii U more than this one, and I've been trying to figure out, okay, like why did I think that? The obvious one that stood out to me was the soundtracks. Because like Breath of the Wild and that world that they built was it's kind of more like naturey, and the music was more like subtle and kind of more of a background thing, so that you could just like explore, and it really didn't get your attention, or it didn't get my attention all too much. And I felt like the soundtracks in this new Hyrule Warrior were kind of the same, where it's like it was kind of more background, but really didn't kind of get my attention at all. But like the first Hyrule Warrior I absolutely loved the soundtracks on that one, and I mean, in part because I think it was drawing from so many different Legends of Zelda. Like it was drawing from Ocarina of Time, Twilight Princess, Skyward Sword, and then it was had its own story arc and all intertwined in one thing. So they had quite a bit more um, material and genres to draw from to make those soundtracks, and they were really cool. So I was kind of sad and disappointed by the music in the game. And then after, like, I think I was very worried about it when I first started playing it because honestly, because of how easy it was for me to play. Because like I was literally like, okay, like learning the controls, kind of like moving around and whatnot. I'm standing in the middle of an enemy crowd and I'm not getting hit. Like the enemies are literally just standing there. And that's kind of a bit of a staple of like just the like warrior series, not just the Legend of Zelda one, but like there's uh, like Shaolin Warriors or something like that. There's some like it's a genre of games that started coming into Legend of Zelda. So like, but it's known for having like a lot of enemies that you just get to beat the crap out of them. And so I was kind of like the first couple of missions as far as like playing it, I was just kind of bored because there was nothing really challenging going on about it. It was just kind of a lot of enemies for me to just beat up, and I think it took a little while to really kind of get going. So that's why I was really worried about it at the beginning. But the challenge did kind of pick up and that kind of stuff as you got into the harder levels. And I mean, in some ways that makes sense because like it was probably easier for me since I've played the previous Hyrule Warrior, so I knew generally how the game was going to play. Pardon me, but like maybe if there's like a new player, they may not necessarily know. But then I think this game, as far as like the storyline of it, kind of suffered the same thing that I said about Breath of the Wild when I finished that. It's like you knew kind of where the story was going to go, so it kind of wasn't all that interesting or important. Because like, you know, spoiler alert for the story that goes on here, but like there's this little like guardian that Zelda put together and fixed that was at the castle when the calamity started, and it was able to somehow open a portal to go back in time to before all this stuff happened to warn Zelda and Link and all that kind of stuff about the coming calamity. And so like basically the point of this game was to let you play with all the like champion characters that they talked about in Breath of the Wild and let you actually like play as them and fight the war that eventually they lost in Breath of the Wild. So I mean like you basically like you knew the characters you were gonna have, you knew the general like route that this story was gonna go. It's gonna like the calamity is gonna start. You're gonna have to fight it and all this kind of stuff. So, there really wasn't too much of twists or turns to kind of like, oh my gosh, they're doing what or who is this character, that kind of stuff. There wasn't really too much of that. But yeah, so I played through the whole game. So I mean, like overall, I'm happy with the game and like how it was playing and all that kind of stuff. There kind of is more to do, but I think I'm good, you know, because there's hard mode and very hard mode and that kind of stuff. But like I tried a few missions with those, and it didn't really change the gameplay or even the missions or anything like that. It just kind of like the enemies hit harder and they have more HP, and so it's really not in my mind it's not really that like the game is harder or more challenging. It just takes longer to do because you got to beat the enemies more in order to beat them, and it's like at that point it's like, okay, it's not really more of a challenge to me. It's just kind of more of a nuisance. So I'm good with as far as I got in it. So I have no idea if they're going to be coming out with more later, maybe some DLC later. I don't know if I'm going to really buy into it or not. We'll find out. But anyway, I'm going to cut myself off here. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next week. Bye for now.